Hey, rich mamas! Look, welcome back. Yeah, new her. I know. I'm trying it out. We gonna see if we can rock with it for a minute. But look, let me know in the comments if you feeling it too. Okay, I'm feeling the orange a little bit. Okay, but anyway, I'm super excited to come back with this interview because my good sister I'm interviewing today, I've known her before we both were moms. She actually was one of my customers in my first business. I created her skirt for her. I believe it's her bridal shower at the time. And she's also a podcaster, y'all. I want y'all to check out Black Women with Opinions. She's a boy mom, young, black, and married, and fly. Look, I absolutely love her, and I cannot wait to do this interview. So, y'all, welcome Miss Amanda. Hey,
Hey,
girl.
hey, girl.
How
Thank you
are
so
you?
much. I'm great. I'm so excited to do this. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Yay! Look, oh my God. And then we got so much backstory from
Yes.
being young, black, married, having kids in a pandemic, and
Girl.
just so many different things. So, okay, tell the people a little bit about your background before becoming a mom. Just tell people a little bit about you.
Yeah. So, before becoming a mom, I married my husband back in 2016. We've been together now 11 years. And I went to school to be a medical assistant and, working a 9 to 5 and kind of dibble and dabbled in a few different kind of entrepreneurial opportunities. But all my life knew that I wanted to be a mom. Like that was definitely in the cards. It was just, a testament of how that was going to happen.
Mm.
I had some struggles with infertility. We tried for almost 8 years before we got our little miracle.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah. We actually went through IVF
okay.
to get pregnant with him, and we're very lucky and blessed for our first round to have a
Wow.
yeah. So we went like the medical route and the timing route and all of that. And then ended up doing IVF, and it was a beautiful experience. So
This what I love. Okay, y'all. I'm so excited because most of these podcasts that I've been doing, I've been catching up with some friends that I've known before and then interviewing new moms. And we've had so many different perspectives of motherhood. Like I've had an adopted mom who tried for 11 years and couldn't make it,
mhm.
and had multiple miscarriages. I've talked to other, just so many different backgrounds, but I have not talked to anyone. So you're our first mom who's gone through IVF, right?
Yes,
So
yeah,
look, super excited to talk about some of the details because I believe that there's such a underrepresented voice for women of color who go through IVF too,
yeah, I
and
agree.
what that looks like. Because it's a financial thing, it's
Yeah.
a mental thing, all of the things. So, okay, where you want to start, sis? Reel us in. Where we going? Where we going?
Okay. I mean, well, I might as well start at the beginning, right? So, the at the first time in my life where I was kind of made aware that I was gonna have issues with infertility was very young. I was 9 years old. And I had before I even started my period or anything, and I had a lot of pain. I remember like doubled over. My mom told me to go clean my room, and she came back an hour later, and I'm just like doubled over in pain. And she's like, "What is going on?" I was rushed to the hospital. I had to have an emergency surgery to remove one of my ovaries, my right ovary. And I remember the doctor saying, "Okay, we have to take this. This is not an option." But just be aware, or really more so telling my parents, just be aware that she may have some difficulties getting pregnant, have as many eggs, all of that. So I knew from young that it was likely going to be a journey for me. Fast forward to my husband and I being engaged, and again knowing that that was going to be a struggle, but knowing that we really wanted to be parents. And so I went to see an OBGYN who ran some tests. We started the process of kind of just seeing where we were. Sidetrack, actually, the first provider I saw was not very open to having that conversation. She flat out told me that because I wasn't married, I shouldn't be even talking or thinking about that I should focus on getting married. And she had been married and struggling with fertility and made the comment, "Oh, I should be the one worried about this, not you." Yes.
How entitled,
Um,
sis? Like, check your own uterus.
yes, ma'am. I'm the patient in this appointment. I'm not sure why we're talking about what's going on with you. And that actually kind of deterred me from feeling like, okay, is this how every experience is going to be? I'm already a little self-conscious. All the things we think that should be easy, and knowing so many other people who just pop up pregnant, no problem. So that was kind of like a mental block for me for a little while. And then, we got back at it. I found another doctor who was incredible. And they did some testing and found out that the remaining fallopian tube that I had to that ovary was completely scarred. And there was the likelihood of getting pregnant naturally was just, it was very small. So one side, no ovary, the side with the ovary, completely scarred fallopian tube. There's no way the egg is getting down to where it needs to go. I remember that day vividly. I remember getting out of that appointment. My husband was at work and going to my mom's house and like just falling in her arms. Like,
Wow.
why would God put this on my heart so heavy? I always have known this. And just knowing the financial burden, as you mentioned before, and like this is not an easy thing. And we do okay, but we are not of the rich and famous, right? So thinking about 20s and 30s of thousands of dollars to be able to have this child, and then there's the financial responsibility of continuing on with that, taking care of them and living our life. It was so overwhelming that we decided to just take a break. And so we took a few years and continued to try the natural route and timing and medications, but all the while knowing that likely, IVF was going to be the route that ended up getting us pregnant. So fast forward to 2019, we are deciding, at the end of 2019, okay, this is the time. We were, and I say this completely humbled, we were so privileged to have fertility coverage through my husband's job.
Wow.
Yeah, because I know that that is not a common thing. There are so many women and families that I know personally who just did not have that option. And we were very blessed to be able to have that assistance. But even with that, there were a nice amount of out of pocket costs for us. But we prioritized that as what we wanted to do. I had my retrieval date when they go in and they take out the eggs at the end of December of 2019. It was a traumatic time for my body. I also have PCOS. And so they got an abundance of eggs, which was great in the end, but it made me terribly sick.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. It was a rough time for me physically. And then we ended up transferring of January of 2020, or I'm sorry, February of 2020. And I found out the week before the world shut down that I was pregnant. So talk about anxiety attack, right? Because I have all of these already thoughts before any of that happened of like, okay, I have to make sure I follow all the rules, and we've gone through so much to get here, daily injections and all of this, thousands of dollars out of pocket to pay for this. And okay, I'm just going to follow every single rule. I'm doing crazy amounts of research. Google should be off limits at this point in my life because I'm serious. I was so nervous. I was a
Yeah.
nervous Nelly. I wanted to make sure I did everything right because we had gone through so much to get just to this point.
Yeah.
And then the world shut down. And nobody knew anything about COVID at the time, right? So there was definitely no information about pregnancy and pregnant women at the time. And I'm working in the medical field.
Wow.
So it's like I see people day in and day out that are sick, specifically working in allergy and asthma. So a lot of respiratory things that are not COVID, but we don't know. I'm pretty sure there weren't even like real tests to determine accessible to like the everyday person. So it
Yeah,
was,
no, it wasn't. It
yeah,
wasn't. I
it
remember
was,
like the whole first 2 years, I could not
yeah.
get tested. Yeah.
How am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
And how dangerous is this? And if I do get it, what does this do to my body? What does it do to my growing baby's body? And at the time, I worked for a not very understanding doctor. I was a manager, so there was room for me not to have to be patient facing, but because of and in hindsight, I can kind of understand it because of the financial burdens of companies. There just really was not, we need to cut down and you're going to have to be in front of patients. So I ended up having to change jobs, which was scary, in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of being pregnant. But because I couldn't risk knowing that I could have done something and didn't.
Yeah.
So switched jobs, and took a pay cut, but I felt more comfortable. Had a beautiful pregnancy, even though it was not what I always had dreamt up in my head, right? So there was no huge baby shower with all my family and friends to come and sit at. We did like a drive-by shower wherever where I was at the
I
top of the
remember I could
driveway.
not make it. I was,
Yeah,
oh, look, I didn't make it because I was scared because I was pregnant at the time too.
yes.
I'm like, is this safe?
Can we do this? And
Right?
even then, it was like very risky. Like, are we sure we should be doing this? We're outside. They're keeping me, the pregnant one, away from everybody. I'm at the top of the driveway. People are just driving past and dropping off their gifts.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it, but it just wasn't, you kind of have this idea of what you want it to look like. I wanted to do Lamaze class and I wanted to do like all of these things, and it just, there were none. There weren't even photographers allowed in like the delivery rooms or afterwards in the hospitals at that time.
Miles is 4 now,
Um,
right? So you were like that very first year.
so yeah, so he was born in October of 2020. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so it was traumatizing, to say the least. But I had an incredible partner that's right by my side. My family, especially like my mom and my dad, they were like right there supporting me, and my little sister. And so we ended up going ahead and, we do all the things that we can and make accommodations as we can. And then I have this beautiful baby boy, in October 10th, 2020, 10/10/2020. And
Aww.
yes, and am just over the moon. I feel great. I'm loving my family. I'm just loving where I am. I get discharged from the hospital, and the day we get discharged, we go to the park and everything. And before I left the hospital, my doctor says, you need to make sure that you check your blood pressure. Promise me every day you're going to check it. And I checked it that day, that evening before we went to bed, and it was through the roof.
Wow.
Like 200s over 160, like it was scary. So we call the doctor. My mom comes and picks me up, takes me straight to the emergency room. In COVID, 5 days postpartum, the doctors come and get me. They check my blood pressure immediately. You're being admitted. I had postpartum preeclampsia. I didn't even know that you could get postpartum preeclampsia after you had the baby. Um, and honestly, in hindsight, I was actually just talking to my mom about this the other day. I'm grateful of how naive I was. Um, the Lord had his hand on me, and my mom knew how serious it was, but I had no idea. And I think if I had known that this could be fatal, I would have not been able to stay calm.
Yeah, your anxiety would have got, like, I'm an anxious. I think millennials, we are anxious.
We're anxious.
Generation, right? Like, well, we got a lot to be afraid of. We done seen some stuff.
Yes.
And, but to your point, preeclampsia is so popular among Black women.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they know what causes it most of the time. Like, and like you said, you felt fine, but he told you to take. So what was that when you get admitted? What happened from there?
So I get admitted. First of all, I'm bawling. I'm hysterical because my 5-day-old baby is at home, and I love my husband, but he doesn't know what to do with this newborn. And I'm freaking out. I haven't been away for more than 10, 15 minutes from this baby. And so the nurse in charge felt very bad for me because, like I said, I was hysterical. And she said, call your husband, tell him come up here, bring the baby. They were so kind and so accommodating. I actually ended up going for the postpartum preeclampsia care at a different hospital than I delivered to, but they still allowed me to bring my baby. They still took him to the nursery at night so that we could get sleep. Wow. They allowed my husband to stay. Again, during COVID, where some hospitals didn't even allow you to have like a support person during
No, delivery. They didn't. A lot of them, yeah.
So it was an exception. I felt exceptionally cared for, and that was one of the first times during that whole process that I felt that way. They did a magnesium drip on me, and that kind of makes you a little loopy. So I remember at times like holding Miles and telling them somebody needs to come get him. I don't feel stable. Like it kind of makes you feel like you're intoxicated. You're not quite steady. Um, and I just remember my eyes, were so swollen. And I think that was what was really scary for like my husband. Just looking at me, and he, I think, had more of an inkling that like this is not normal. Like we know people who had kids, and this isn't really how it's supposed to go. Um, and so I was in the hospital for an additional 5 days. They finally got my blood pressure under control. And then my doctor on her day off came up to come and take care and make sure that I was doing okay, check my vitals, talk to the hospital staff. Um, and then I got released. And had pretty much everybody in my family daily. What's your blood pressure? What's your blood pressure? Which got a little annoying because I'm also, taking care of myself from healing, trying to take care of this newborn. It's like, okay, y'all, I got it. I know, I get it now. But also, what a beautiful thing to have so many people be like, no, we need to make sure that you are okay. And at the blink of an eye, if anything changes, somebody's coming to make sure that you go back to where you need to get taken care of.
Yeah.
And so it was a slow healing process for me. And I kind of didn't trust my body after that because again, I felt fine, but I wasn't fine. I was very sick and I just didn't know. Um, so yeah, through that time, lots of healthy eating, making sure that I was taking my medications, and checking in with myself, monitoring my blood pressure, making sure that I went to all of my doctor's appointments and kept them up to date with what was going on. Um, and now I just speak about it so often because, like I said, I didn't even know that postpartum preeclampsia was a thing.
Yeah.
And I just always know, I feel so strongly that if my doctor had not been adamant that, no, I need you to promise me that when you get home and every day for the next few weeks, you will be checking your blood pressure. If that had not been said to me, I wouldn't have. And there's no telling if I would be here right now because it was that bad. So yeah, that.
Oh, we gotta unpack so much. We gotta
I know,
unpack so
right?
much. One, I just want to say, man, you did not even have to share all of these things, right? Like, so you being transparent and vulnerable. I hope that somebody can like see themselves and like know that it's not just them. I mean, we already know like the Black women, mortality rate when they have children is through the roof. But these are our stories. I think that we need to talk more through about just like what does postpartum care look like for women. And almost like you, like I had complications, but it was with my baby. She had jaundice.
Oh
So
yeah.
like you were going through all of your preeclampsia things. Like I was going back and forth to the hospital because she had jaundice, and so we were trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure out how to pump. Like I felt upset at my body because I didn't know my body needed time to recover. Because you know me for a minute, I'm a busybody. I like to be going boom, boom, boom. Like I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna have this baby. I could come home. I came home from the hospital and I coached like on my mastermind. Like I was just, and I drove myself that same day. I was just really tripping, but I didn't know. Told me that my body needed time to recover. No one told me that. I'm thinking this is just because the baby, she just got out, but no one told me to take care of me. So that's where really like where this journey like was super important for me. Like, okay, what does that look like? What is, I didn't know what self-care for real was. I mean, it was a thing, people say it, but what does that look like in action? And I had to learn that while I was taking care of my baby. So the emotional stresses you felt with being separated with your baby, I remember going back to the hospital 4 times in her first week of life, and just feeling like, oh my God, like, are they gonna, and they were talking about all of the side effects of putting her under the light, what that could be, she might not want to be touched. So I was just like, man, my love language is physical touch, like just like all the things that you like, dang, what could I have done differently? And we don't know what's causing these things. We don't know what leads to preeclampsia in Black women, or jaundice and babies and all that. And here's the thing, we don't even talk about it. Like people be so concerned about your cooch and if you're gonna take the epidural or not. And like, take the epidural, girl, do it natural. But how y'all remember the epidural, which is a small second? You get what I'm saying? Getting administered and going through labor is about, but like this weeks and months and years of recovery, your brain just getting. How do y'all forget the struggle?
Well, and you know, I've heard people say, and I truly feel that I believe this, that postpartum is the fourth trimester.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
that is part of this whole process.
Yeah.
And you're right, we don't talk about it and what it takes
Uh-oh.
talk about what's going on in that fourth trimester and with the people that are around us that have to assist us. It's unrealistic to think that a mom can do it all by themselves in the very beginning of being a mom, right? Like it's an impossible thing to do. You can't take care of yourself well, heal your body, take care of this new person. And then like when we've just had the one, but I have a cousin whose wife just had a baby. They have a toddler. And so it's just thinking of like you've got this toddler to chase after and make sure that their needs are met. You've got this newborn as well. And if you have any other additional children, like everybody needs mom at some point, right? Doing something. And so I just think that it is a conversation that is so important that needs to be had more publicly. And I think that the first step is exactly what's going on right here. Moms being honest about what their experiences were, being honest about giving advice on the lessons that they've learned and what they've gone through. Because otherwise, you don't know. It is like even if you think you know what motherhood looks like, you don't. And it's different each pregnancy, each woman, each situation. Like things change, life changes. There's no way to know. And when you tell your story and you share your story, that is helping somebody else at least mentally can know, well, that's a possibility. That's something I should be looking for. That's something that I should be planning for. Yeah. So
Hmm. Yes,
there.
this has been so juicy, y'all. We've almost gone a whole half hour with just the birth story. Geez. So I just wanna take a moment to unpack one, taking care of yourself after that. And you said not trusting your body. I just was
Mm-hmm.
like, what like let's talk about like that emotion and even regaining trust and your confidence and like in yourself and your ability to be a mom, to be a wife, and to function as a black woman after
Mm-hmm.
going through something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Trusting my body is still something that I am struggling with. Don't let me be the one to say, "Oh yeah, I've got it down," because that's just not true.
Yeah.
Um, my body, all women's bodies, when you are growing and creating life, it is going through a metamorphosis. It is completely shedding of the old and coming of the new. I truly believe that. And in that time for me, it because it was the first time I didn't know what to expect. I just thought that, everything would just come out easy. Like, well, this is what my body is made for. This is what it's supposed to do. Um, and that wasn't my experience. My distrust in my body started when I couldn't naturally have my child, right? Because it's again, I see women around, just think about it, and announcement, they're pregnant, and that's beautiful, but that wasn't what was happening for me.
Yeah.
And so it was the distrust in like, okay, should I be doing this? Like, is this what is down my path in my future? Because every step I take, I'm getting another roadblock. And it all starts with me, right? We did all the testing. There was no issue with my husband. It was truly my body that was creating these roadblocks. So that created the distrust. And then carrying full transparency, I did not carry my son the way I thought I would. Everybody wants the big belly, and it's very obvious
I
that
ain't
they're
have it, girl. My
pregnant.
belly bigger now than when I was pregnant. People didn't
Girl,
know
who
because
you
I'm
tell?
pregnant.
Right. Girl, who you telling? And I just remember, so like when I said I started a new job, I remember meeting all of these new folks. I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant because I did not get a positive in the beginning, because I didn't get a positive response when I told the previous employer.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna just hold this to my chest for a little bit.
Oh.
And then it got to a point I was like, I need to say something. I'm gonna be leaving, going on maternity leave. And nobody could tell, nobody knew. And they were all surprised. They were all very supportive, which was beautiful, a beautiful contrast from what I had just dealt with. But people, I would say, oh yeah, I'm 7 months pregnant. And really? And it's like, okay. That's a good punch. Like that didn't feel good because again, I've gone through all this to get here. I want it to be obvious and celebrated in every way, right? I wanted to check all the boxes. And that was not again the reality. People literally, I was 7 8 months pregnant and people were like, oh really, I knew you were pregnant, I thought maybe you were 3 4 months, I couldn't tell.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so
And
that'd be like,
feeling a little disappointed, right? Like, yeah.
yeah, very, not a little. I remember asking my sister, like, do I look pregnant or do I just look fat? Just be honest with me, because I'm looking at myself and I'm not feeling pregnant. And everybody would be like, that knew me, that was around me. Yes, of course. But then these brand new people in my work life were like, oh yeah, girl, I had no idea. And so, not only did that like magnify the distress within my body, because here you go again, not doing what I wanted you to do. But it's also like a self-esteem thing. It's like, well, I found myself rubbing my belly more or like holding my stomach to like
Oh,
make it
yeah.
more pronounced, like, okay, no, for real, y'all, there's a baby in there. I didn't just have a big lunch. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but what ultimately in hindsight now what I can see is regardless of all of that, I knew that I was having this baby, and I wish that I could have just appreciated where I was in that space. And I think that's a huge lesson in trusting your body, is that it may not always do what you want it to, but it is a testament of what you've been through. This body has brought life. This body has taken care of me for almost 33 years now. This body deserves to be celebrated how it is now, how it will be in 10 years, how it was 10 years ago. Like, it deserves all of that. It takes me from my day to day. And now in my mindset with growth, how dare I not love me exactly how I am today? And there's nothing wrong with like wanting to change something, but love you while you're changing, because it's all a part of our story.
Yeah.
And so with being able to like physically look at my child, 3 years old, and be like, okay, this body right here, that little mommy belly I got, that created this,
Yeah.
and be proud of it. Find the pride in that and the love in that.
Yeah.
And has helped kind of, like I said, it's an ongoing thing. There are good days and bad days. There are, oh my goodness, give me a big pair of sweatpants to cover this up. And
Man, that was
girl,
hard for me
it's
too, because my belly, I didn't carry heavy either. Like, it took a minute. I had to start wearing stuff that made it
so
look round,
yes, it's situated,
give a
yes.
better effect. But then when I had her, my stomach just drooped.
Right.
Like,
Same.
I wish I would have known about how people do those pregnancy, like they do the things to snatch your stomach back up. If I wish I would,
Yeah.
because I was like, what am I supposed to do? I had like an extra like fupa, because I always had like a tight just one stomach. But after you
Same.
had a baby, you got like another little part. It's like it's divided a little bit. You
Yeah,
know what
it's
I'm
like,
saying?
where'd you come from?
Man, and if you don't take care of it quick, especially like we come from a different perspective too, being plus size women,
Yes.
so it's a
Yes.
lot of other stuff that like you experience with your body growing up. If you've been, a bigger girl, and
Yeah.
then when you have this moment, and then to have a child, and okay, like yeah, and people like, well, girl, you always been big, but it wasn't like this before. It
Right.
was
It's different.
so yeah, but just like I remember that moment where I took a picture right when I was leaving the hospital, because I'm a fashionista and all, and I had
Yes,
planned
ma'am.
out our outfits and
Yes,
everything.
ma'am.
He was like, "How do you look this good?" And I was like, looking, I was like, "Where do I look good?" But I gotta remember, that's something, you know what I'm saying, that
Mhm.
everybody go through, the
Everybody.
body dysmorphia,
Hmm.
and then I think what's so important now, which when we wrap, I really want to get your perspective too. Now with being a mom for a few years, like I noticed that I had to really work hard. Girl, stuff is just falling in my office. I don't know what's going on. Huh? I have to really work hard to make sure I take care of me. So whether that's buying me a new wig or going to get my nails done or still going to shop, and make sure that I put effort into
Yeah.
taking care of me, because I did have a season where I just didn't
Mhm.
feel just out of it. So as we kind of like transition a little bit, like, what, now you're a mom, like what are you doing to take care of you, to still like to pour into you after, like you said, our body we've created life, we've gone through these traumatic things, we have new bodies now, you know what I'm saying? It's not what it used to be. But now some of y'all like, I hate that snapback culture, because I remember when I seen somebody the first time after I had my baby, she's like, oh, snap. I was like, sis, ain't nothing snapped.
No. Where's the snap?
Look, my mind ain't even snapped back yet. Like, can we kill snapback culture?
Please.
You know what I'm saying? The celebrities, they can do it, but they got a team of people to help.
That part. If I had a chef and a trainer and somebody here to take care of the baby,
a nanny to take care of the baby,
I might be in a different situation.
No, it was no snapping back. And I think people mean that well, but it was just not that. So what is something you do for you, and how have you embraced motherhood, in this new journey?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I do is I allow me time. And past allow it's part of the schedule. My husband and I have a Google Calendar that we share, and it is known that I'm going to have a spa day at some point. I'm going to have a girls' night out or a happy hour with some of my coworkers, I think you and the baby should go see your parents, or my parents, or go to the park. And I'm not going to go this time, because I think what is so important in this season, and we're in the toddler stage of momming, right? So them toddlers,
we gotta have a whole part 2 to that toddler mom. All right, we ain't on that.
Girl, they will take you through it. But for me to maintain myself and to be the type of mom that I aspire to be, I have to take time for me, separate of my child and also separate of my husband. I need to just be me. I was telling my mom, I asked her, can I just come over your house for a few hours one day? And she, oh, you gonna bring Miles? No, I'm not. I just
they don't want us no more. My mama, every time I come there with my child, she be like, girl, what a baby. I'm like,
where's the baby?
Mommy. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm your baby. What are you talking about?
Not no more. They don't care about us.
No. But I told her, I said, I just need to be your daughter for a few hours. That's it. I don't want any other titles. I just need to go and be able to just lay on my mama's bosom for a little bit and watch a movie, or just talk about our days or something, because we still need that. We're human beings. We're not machines. We cannot be everything to everyone and never pour back into ourselves. Yeah. And so the way that I do it is hanging out with my girls, or treating myself to like getting my hair done, or going to get my nails done, or getting a massage, taking a nap in the middle of a Saturday.
Yeah, naps be live. Shout out to all the people who work from home, baby. Look, they already know, whether it's a 15-minute snoozer or you get a whole hour in, them naps hit differently. But
it hit so different.
COVID for me, I started taking naps.
Naps, baby. A nap just will make my day better. Just, I feel so refreshed. I'm ready for the part 2 now. Yeah. So for me, those things are pivotal, to the point that, like I said, they're on the schedule. Because if I don't schedule it, it won't happen. Yeah. If I just leave it up to chance, I'll look up and it'll be 6 months and I haven't done anything singularly for myself. So I have like a little list of things of like, oh, I want to do this, or I want to do that. And so in my alone time, I make sure that I prioritize those, because if you're not careful, you'll look up and the time that you set aside for yourself is gone, and you still have, instead of taking your nap, went and did a load of laundry, or washed the dishes, or planned out the kids' clothes for the week, or whatever. And so I'm very intentional of when that time is set aside, that there's a plan for it. And then it's easier for me to be able to follow through.
Love that. That's a major gem. Hopefully y'all wrote that down. Planning ahead. Advocating for yourself with your spouse. My husband, like, I got to shout out to Mr. Alberty. He's the lead parent. She's with him right now, and I do a lot, and he takes care of a lot of stuff when it comes to her. He puts her to sleep every night. I take her to school and stuff like that, but like, he's able to be a more present parent, and he enjoys it. And sometimes I don't have the mental capacity. This is the thing too, like, boys love their mamas and daughters love their, like, She will
Very
choose
true.
him any day over me. And a part of me was like feeling some type of way, like, oh my gosh. I'm like, but you know what? Thank God she got a daddy that loves and
Yes.
supports and protects her, lives under the same roof. You know, some of us are breaking generational curses with that,
Yes.
starting new traditions. So instead of me taking it personal, I'm like, look, girl, let me enjoy the fact that he ain't
Hmm.
gotta be up under me all the time, you know? So
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
before we go, I want to talk about the Black Women with Opinions podcast. Tell us about the
Yes.
podcast. I just got to give you flowers. You have been so supportive of me in my entrepreneurial career, and however that has morphed over years. I'm so happy. You know, you doing, girl, when you showed up with your shirt on and my baby promised, like, yes, sis, you better rock the brand. And I have to, I'm so glad that I get to make time with something like this to like really catch up. I'm hoping you pull up to some more events, look, and come out and
Yes.
use the community more. Just about this podcast. I'm so happy for you. And
Thank
one, you're
you.
super articulate anyway. Like y'all, this conversation flowed. I ain't have to really prompt sis. So you know her podcast gotta be good. So tell us about the Black Women with Opinions podcast.
Yes, yes. So Black Women with Opinions podcast started last year, in 2023. Two of my closest girlfriends, actually, we have known each other over half our lives at this point. We met some in middle school and in high school, and it really is just a platform. Our tagline is it's a safe space for Black women to share their opinions about anything and everything. So though we are three very close friends, we have very different viewpoints on a lot of different topics. And we just talk about the things that are on our mind, the things that we go through as Black women, the things that are important to us. We've had an episode on Black hair and on parenting and dating. For my single folks out there, I'm sorry.
Sorry, y'all.
But
I'm so sorry. Look,
sorry, y'all. It is, woo, it's out there.
I've been hearing some horror stories. I'm like, Lord, don't look. Thank you, and look, just preserve what we have. Look.
Please, Lord, because I don't know that I'm built for what's out there. But yeah, we it has been a beautiful experience to be able to do. We've talked about it and kind of dropped things here and there, and then last year we decided, no, we're doing this. We set a deadline and we got started. And the girls are amazing. My friend Chrisia and Ebony, and we just it's a beautiful mesh of things that we've been through, our individual stories, and what's going on, in pop culture or today's news, what's on your timeline, and just advice and experiences of what we've been through. Don't make the mistakes we made. We're going to tell you about them. So you don't have to do what we did. And so right now we're on a break, but season 1 and 2 are out anywhere you want to stream. So YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all of those different platforms, we are out there. And we have listeners all over the world now, and it's just been a beautiful experience.
Come on with
Yes.
it, y'all. Look, y'all gotta
Yes.
support. Make sure that you support. Like before you get off of this episode, go subscribe. And once you listen to an episode, rate it, y'all. Rate it. Get them
Yes.
5 stars. That always helps. Those of us who are out here creating content because it's not
Yes.
easy. It's not
It's
simple.
not.
We got
No.
husbands. We got
Yes.
kids.
Yes.
Look. So yes. Okay. What else? Anything else you want to share with the audience as we wrap?
Well, one thing I just want to say is thank you so much for thinking of me for this to interview. I have really enjoyed this conversation, and you are a beautiful soul. I know people probably tell you this all the time because how could they not? But from the very moment we met, I was like, that's one I got to keep close to me. You have a beautiful soul. You see beauty in other people, and I'm so proud of you. This is a beautiful thing that you're doing. I cannot wait to listen and watch every single episode, and take my little notes and share with everybody that I know. Moms need this outlet, and so I'm just so incredibly proud of you as a person and all the facets of things that you do. And so I just wanted to make sure that I shouted you out on that because you doing the thing, girl. You're doing it.
I'm trying not to cry, y'all. Like, I'm a big softie, and words of affirmation is like my number 2 is physical touch, and then words of affirmation. So I always appreciate flowers because, yeah, I think we all need it. Like, we have so many messages out there of what we're doing wrong and be so critical. So I always appreciate that. Thank you for coming. Look, y'all, if you are one, she mentioned something that I thought was really key. She did a podcast with her friends. They're just having conversations. This podcast has really been me having conversations with other moms. And here's the thing, y'all. I feel full every time I interview someone because I'm learning something new. I'm spending quality time with people that I don't really get to spend quality time with because I be doing too much. And I don't want to be too busy. I really want to be able to foster relationships and to be genuine, and it's not always transactional. It's this, that. So I'm so happy to be able to provide this platform. I hope that people find value in it. I'm happy to interview people like you. And those of y'all, if you don't have you some mommy friends now, I want to let you know that Rich Mamas Club is a place for you. We are a social club full of moms. We're intergenerational. At first, we started off being millennial moms. So we have women as old as 60 and as young as 23 in our community all over the country that are tapping into community that they need. Like, we need this to sustain motherhood, marriage, just your mental health, sis. You need friends. So if you want to learn more about Rich Mamas Club, just stay tuned. I got something for you.
Hey mama, I know you enjoyed this episode. I just wanted to let you know that you should tap into community because you need friends. You deserve to be around people who love, support, and accept you for who you are and can hold your hand along this journey. So check out Rich Mamas Club. Thanks for watching.